The decision by Nairobi Archdiocese to decline President Ruto and Sakaja's 7 million donation to the Kayole church seemed to have rattled State House. But sometimes, even when facing a crisis or facing a storm, you must always know the right button to press. I'm a bit more convinced that the button that President Ruto and the team are pressing is not the right button. The State House seem to have adopted a combative approach and name-calling as they engage in this discussion. This is a discourse that just needed the state that was just testing whether the state is ready to take criticism. But again, at the end of it, they seem to have exposed their wickedness, or rather the inability to take criticism. I want to say that the statement by the current stand by the Catholic bishops is a climax of a movement that has been going on, the Inject movement. And what worries the country most is that the state believes they have the monopoly of truth, that any other person saying something about the current administration is not right. So the implementing authority and the oversight and this person that is doing everything believes that if you say something against it, then you are wrong. In this podcast, I want you to look at the response from Sudi and President Ruto. And this will really show you why the way this has been handled by the state is completely out of order. Kindly subscribe to our channel. Our mission of achieving 100,000 by December is on course. As I talk to you, we're at 93,100. It means we have 6,900 to click 100,000. We are heading there. So the best to help us achieve that is for you to subscribe. To subscribe into a channel is free. It doesn't cost anything. In fact, even your email is secure because both from front end and back end of any channel, we cannot access your email. So your privacy cannot be, no one can intrude in your privacy. And again, the only advantage is that when we publish any video, you'll always receive notification, and so you'll not miss our well-researched exclusive analysis. Oscar Sudi, I tend to think that when the Catholic declined that donation, there will be some introspecting, and the state would have asked, President and his advisors would have asked themselves so many questions and gone out of the box. And one of the things that I said is the statement from Oscar Sudi and the fact that that position was taken rattled the bishops. So he would be one of the leaders that President Ruto would have called and told, just keep quiet, don't respond about this matter. Today, he decided to release another video, and this is what Oscar Sudi is saying.
Hakuna siku sisi kama viongozi tumayeenda kanisani na tukasema tuko na pesa ya kudonate ama tumayejipeleka kwa harambee. Mimi ni Mkristo, nililelewa kanisani kuanzia Sunday school, na nimejua kuanzia nikiwa mdogo ya kwamba kanisa haina kiti yoyote, haina namna yoyote. Kanisani ni waumini, mimi, wewe na mwingine tunachanga, tunatoa fungu la 10 tujenge kanisa. Lakini nashangaa sasa imefika kiwango tumeanza kugombana na kupigiana kelele mambo ya kanisani. Kwanza nataka niseme hivi. Sisi tunaamini kwa Mwenyezi Mungu. Na tunaamini tutaenda mbinguni siku moja. na tunaamini ya kwamba tuliambiwa tumeenda kutengenezewa makao. Lakini pia mimi na wewe jua ya kwamba Ukristo ni wewe mwenyewe. So mimi nikiwa mwanasiasa kama kiongozi, wewe ukiwa bishop, ukiwa pastor, ukiwa father, sisi wote ni binadamu. Na wewe uko na makosa kama bishop, hata kwa familia yako, hata kwa kanisa. Mimi niko na makosa kama kiongozi. Kila mtu hapa ako na mambo yenye lazima atakosea mahali. Na ndio mimi nataka niombe siku ya leo ya kwamba mwananchi ule mwenye ana abudu katika kanisa lolote lile ama msikiti lolote lile, ni wao ndio wao wanachanga, na wao ndio wanatuita, wanasema tusaidie jamani, tuchange kanisani ili tuombe ama tuabudu mahali safi, mahali ya heshima, mahali yenye Mungu pia atafurahi tukiwa tunaabudu mahali safi, mahali iko na heshima. So nataka niombe ndugu zangu bishops, naona mmekasirika na sisi mpaka wanasema mtaka kurudisha pesa yenye tumetoa kanisani. Nataka niwaombe msamaha kwa sababu labda sisi tunawakosea sasa nyingine. Tunaenda direct kanisa pale chini, na kumbe labda ulikuwa unataka upitiwe ndio tufike pale, ama sielewi ni nini. Kwa sababu wale pastors na fathers wale pale chini na waumini wa kanisa, labda unapata ni watu wanachanga mpaka wengine hata wanatoroka kanisani because wanaambiwa kila wiki changa. So nashangaa sana wewe mwenye huko hapa juu unapinga kazi inafanyika pale chini. So tunaomba msamaha kama tumewakosea, lakini fungu la 10 lazima tutoe, kanisa lazima twende, na tutaendelea. Hiyo nataka niombe kabisa bishops, mtusamee kama tumewakosea kwenda pale chini bila nyinyi. Ama kama kuna kitu kingine hapa, mtuambie, kwa sababu nyinyi ndio mnafaa kutuelekeza, sio nyinyi kupasua inji. Ama sio nyinyi. Wengine wanasema hata watataka kuitisha maandamano. Sijui hii binguni.
I will ask and I will continue to say this. From the onset we got it wrong. Oscar Sudi cannot profile Anthony Muheria on feigning tribal politics. And while the 28 bishops acknowledged that letter, whatever was written there was agreed, and today, even one of the bishops who read that press briefing was from Eldoret. So I believe that the first point was for him first to come out and withdraw and apologize to the bishops. That we take, forgive us for taking that angle of profiling the bishops, Anthony Muheria, on feigning tribal animosity. That to my end was wrong. So I have listened to the Kalenjin Access since this happened, and I said it's only William Ruto's Kalenjin team that are responding. If you listen to what Gladys Boss Sholei and who is this other person, and Chererge, the way they are talking, there seems to be a lot of entitlement and arrogance. And I don't know why there is that. It should worry the president that it's only them who are talking. And in fact, they're fanning more fire. They're creating more fire. The way they're addressing this matter, to my end, it doesn't show that the state is ready to take criticism. And that's one thing that I think I saw someone saying, that state is taking criticism. They're not taking.
We want to ask the president to remain focused. Unajua wale wako upinzani, the idol, kazi yao ni kuamka asubuhi kukashifu na kurudi kulala. Unajua mwenye kazi ni rais. Unajua kazi ya upinzani ni rais, ni kuamka tu na kukosoa na kulala. Nani atauliza amefanya nini? Lakini rais ndio yako na jukumu kubwa. So tunataka tumuulize rais to remain focused, remain steadfast, tunamweka kwa maombi, awachane na wale masanbalat. Ni haki ya kila mtu kukosoa serikali, lakini rais asikuwe distracted. Tunataka maintain the focus, ndio Wakenya wafanye maendeleo. Si ni namna hiyo wapate maendeleo, ama mnasemaje? Si rais tutamuombea na tutamsaidia akuwe focus kudeliver ile aliahidi wa Kenya. Yeah, that is the only way we can move as a country.
Deputy Speaker, what are we dealing with here? That you have gifts being given in church and given different names. The president is telling the priest kuja nione State House. Deputy President is anapeana 5 million from the president and calls it sadaka. I thought sadaka is actually an offering, which is in secret. You don't announce it. You know, you're now trying to tell me to start interrogating and analyzing people's faith. I think when you give to the church, it is personal. It is between you and your God. So why announce it? No, I'm saying how you decide to do it is personal between you and your God. So it is not for me to start saying, I think we should do it this way or do it that way. I think that is... I'm not asking you at a personal level. I'm asking you as a member who sits in the National Assembly to oversight the executive. These are the leaders of the executive that have said, including the president himself, that fundraising is banned. And that is why Professor Kindiki is actually quoting the president. But then you give in church and you announce it. What is the source of that money? I think you seem to have some thoughts about it. Why don't you explain to us what your thoughts are? Because no. You're trying to make me say what you want to hear. If you don't have an answer, it's okay to say you don't have an answer. Yes, I said it's personal. So that you can make progress. Tithing is personal, and how someone does it, it's how they decide their relationship with their God is. So it's nothing to do with me.
Criticism. Sudi should keep off this discussion. And as much as they want to say they're not talking because they're president's friends and the president's tribesmen, the writing is on the wall. Today, William Ruto was responding to this matter, and while signing performance contracts in State House, I still don't understand why we are signing performance contracts and the interior docket hatujapata mtu, but that is not part of this analysis. This is another question. Now, President Ruto called the bishops naysayers. In reference to the bishops, he said naysayers, and the other word was enemies of the country.
We will confound the naysayers. We will succeed. This country will not fail. This great nation that God has given us will succeed. The enemies of Kenya will be put to shame because we are going to succeed and we are going to take this country forward. I am persuaded and I am very clear and I am focused on making sure that together with all of us working as leaders in the Republic of Kenya.
We always say here, just in the same breath, no one wants this country to collapse. No one wants this country to fail. But criticism is part of the nation building. If all of us will say, yes, sir, yes, sir. If all of us will not raise, sometimes someone says that a good idea gives birth to a better idea. The criticism is part of the discourse, is part of that nation building. But if you choose to make a skewed interpretation and say, the person is criticizing me because he hates me. The person is criticizing me because I'm not a Catholic. I am being criticized by Uhuru Kenyatta and Mwai Kibaki, who all Catholics were never criticized. Why are they taking this about me? Then it seems to be a skeptic, it seems to be an escape narrative. So it should not be, and I think a notion should not be constructed that those who are saying, poking holes, for example, we have parents who to date, they know the whereabouts of their children. They don't know the whereabouts of their children who went missing 4 months ago. Is it fair? Is it unfair to say that they are enemies of the country because someone is asking the security agencies to stop abductions and disappearances and to account for those disappearances? So we need to be very skilled. We need to be very objective in this discussion, because I tend to believe that if the state is not, if Kenya Kwanza is not taking criticism, then they're really trading not the right way. Now, it is very clear that Ruto is trying to put a brave face, but this decision for the church to reject that donation was a big shocker. It really rattled the State House. William Ruto was really annoyed. Really annoyed. And I want to tell you why the State House really feel uncomfortable with the bishops. The church is deplatforming politicians. And that is in conformity with what the Gen Z were asking. Now as we talk, politicians are not holding rallies, but they want to hold those rallies in churches, in the pulpit. And what they normally do is the donation are actually in exchange of political airtime. The airtime, the currency, what they pay back to churches, those donations, then they're given unsolicited, unlimited airtime. Then they find the opportunity to go there in campaign. There was a plan, and the initial plan was that the evangelicals who told the country that UDA was a spiritual kingdom in power to control the political kingdom was pushed there by a spiritual kingdom. They have fallen out. And there was the second plan that the president is looking for the mainstream to take over that space. But that is really been shocked, because from what the Catholics have said, what the Catholic bishops have said, they're not boarding that move. They're not embodied in that move. So they are deplatforming the state. And the more it continues that way, they will turn this, the level of civic education in those in the pulpit will be worrying. The second issue is publicly, when someone is rejecting president's donation, it whips the masses. And in fact, it's not about rejection of the money, it's reject the president. So it whips, it polarizes the masses into a rejection. Today, Catholics have rejected money in the bus and all that. That would be the president said, the masses to reject. And lastly, he doesn't seem to understand that what is the boldness of these bishops to reject a gift from the president? What is the boldness? Did they receive some calls from the higher powers, the Pope and the Vatican, for them to make that rejection? But I want to give an answer. Bishop Anyolo, before he was transferred to Nairobi, he was in Kisumu. And during his installation in Kisumu, that was in 2019, William Ruto donated him some Mitsubishi 2012. Yeah, 2012 car. You know, he didn't return that car to Ruto, but he gave it for some charity work somewhere. He transferred it to. And so this is something that is not consistent about. So the issue of this donation is shocking, because even when he did the same in 2019, but they can tell you, before Ruto went to the evangelicals, he had tried the mainstream by that time, but he could not crack the Catholic because they remain in terms of politics, they really wanted to remain neutral. And that is why when that car was given, Ruto gave Bishop Anyolo the car in Kisumu at a time when there was fallout with Uhuru Kenyatta. And Bishop Anyolo refused. And that car was taken to something else. So this is something that has really rattled the state. And I feel that combative and name-calling, entitlement is not the right route. Probably they can do better than that. Thank you.